Now, controversial, maybe. The team that if I was the owner of this team, I would be going for him, and that is the Raiders. I believe that Malik Willis is better than Fernando Mendoza. Hello and welcome back to the El Chappy Sports Show. I'm your host, Dylan, better known as El Chappy. How are you all doing? I just thought I'd do a stream about some of the upcoming quarterback free agents and possible trades that we might be looking for as well. So many quarterbacks might be released or traded as well. So yeah, that's the topic of discussion today. It's going to be an interesting market out there because as we've seen from the combine and everything we've seen so far in the draft process, it's not a great QB draft. So let's get into it. Yes. Obviously, some of these will be signed. Daniel Jones, it seems like he will either be signed by the Colts or he will be, I don't think it's franchise tag. I think he'll get a transition tag tomorrow if he doesn't sign a new contract. And by all accounts, it's a 50-50 thing. They're pretty close in doing it. I believe just a few things to iron out. You've got Aaron Rodgers. I believe he will go back to Pittsburgh Steelers if he does decide not to retire. But there are some rumblings that he might end up in Minnesota with the Vikings, which will be quite interesting. That'll be quite interesting considering Brett Favre, if you remember, went from Green Bay Packers to the Jets and then ended his career with the Vikings. And obviously, Aaron went from Green Bay over to the New York Jets via then Pittsburgh Steelers. And imagine if he finished his career with the Vikings. I mean, that you can't make things like that up, you know. Joe Flacco, all things point towards him going back to Cincinnati. However, interestingly now with Stefanski in Atlanta, could he go there as a bit of a stopgap? That's something to look out for as well because Kirk Cousins is not going to be there. They need a backup. Also, they possibly need somebody to start the season for them, possibly. And obviously, he knows how everything runs with Kevin Stefanski. There's a few here: Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor. I have no idea. I've not heard many rumblings there. I don't know where they're going to end up. We'll just know that if they do get signed anywhere, it'll be as backups. Russell Wilson, he's an interesting cat because he's not starting in the league anymore, and I think deservedly so. I do not see or view Russell Wilson as a starter in this league. Tyler Huntley, again, I have no idea with Tyler where he will go or if he will be signed at all by anybody, to be quite honest. Trey Lance. So by all accounts, Trey Lance is he's been doing a lot of work and he has shown glimpses in pre-season, but let's be fair, that is pre-season. He's shown glimpses of talent. So I'm sure that there will be a team or teams willing to take a chance with him and he will be possibly a backup in with one of those teams. I do not believe he will be a starter, but I don't think teams are giving up on him quite yet. Then obviously Teddy Bridgewater, who knows whether he will want to come back or not. Maybe he'll want to go back and coach high school football again. Now he's allowed to donate some money. Obviously, if you don't know the story, he quit as a head coach because he got into some problems because he donated money to his school team to buy kit and for travel and things that would, obviously help out children. Apparently it's not allowed, but however, apparently that is now no longer the case. So he might go back into coaching, which I hope he does. I think he offers a lot. Mitchell Trubisky, I would not be surprised if he goes with the Buffalo Bills back there. Gardner Minshew, I mean, end the season on injured, but apparently he's not injured anymore. He's just been married as well. I believe that on the weekend he got married. Zach Wilson, again, he's similar to Trey Lance. I don't think people have given up on him. I've talked before about him going to maybe Arizona Cardinals. I think if he does, it'll be as a backup. But there's something that says that he might stay in Miami. By all accounts, Miami wants a new QB. They may not be trusting of Quinn Ewers, but we'll just have to see. Kenny Pickett, again, he's going to be a backup somewhere. Where, I don't know, but he'll be a backup somewhere. Kyle Allen, again, will probably be a backup. Jimmy Garoppolo will probably still be the Rams unless he does go to someone like Arizona, because obviously Mike LaFleur does know him very well, so maybe he'll come in as a backup there. Josh Johnson, I don't know. Same with Sam Howell. How a guy like Sam Howell went from becoming a starter to then basically being a backup, and now he's just jumping around the league at the minute. I don't suspect he will get another opportunity. I think he's played for 3 teams now, or been on 3 teams' rosters. So yeah, I just don't see him. I think he's just going to be a career backup from now on. And Case Keenum, obviously, who knows where he'll end up. And obviously, interestingly, we know some players like Kyler Murray. He's going to be released, or all signs point towards him being released. Tua, he's gone. I think they're just hoping that he gets traded to take offset some of the financial risks the financial liability that Miami have. But all signs point that he will get a fresh start somewhere else. Justin Fields, I hope the Jets release him for his own sanity more than anything. And they got Kirk Cousins. He will be a free agent, I think, mid-March now. Geno Smith is likely to be released. And then Anthony Richardson has been told he can go and look for another team, so he could be traded. And then Mac Jones is an interesting one that possibly San Francisco would have said that they would trade him, but not cheaply. So those are some of the names to look out for. And I will go into it a little bit further now on some of these players and maybe some of the teams that will be looking for a quarterback. So first up, Malik Willis. He seems to be the hot name on the market right now. So I will be interested to see where he goes. Obviously, Miami Dolphins is one team that have said that they're interested. Arizona Cardinals, another team that's been stated to be interested. I mean, there are other teams obviously stated to be interested, but does he want to go? Well, we'll get into some of those other teams, but I think the front runners will be the Arizona Cardinals and Miami Dolphins. Now, controversial, maybe the team that if I was the owner of this team, I would be going for him, and that is the Raiders. I believe that Malik Willis is better than Fernando Mendoza. I do believe he's better than Fernando. I will do another video about where I place Fernando against previously drafted players. I think the experience that Malik Willis has now, especially having spent time in Green Bay, I think that he would be a great fit for the Raiders. And if I were the Raiders, I would be getting him. I wouldn't be drafting Mendoza, number one. Now, is that likely to happen? No. They're going to get Fernando and all that. But I personally, that's where I would want to go if I were him. I think that there's a great coaching staff there, even though, interestingly, with the Raiders, they don't have a quarterback coach at the minute. But I do think that Clint and his team is going to be a great place for a quarterback. And that's where, if I was Malik, that's probably where I would want to go. Can you imagine being there with Brock Bowers and, their running game and everything? I think that's a great place to go. If I was Malik, however, the Raiders are never going to do it. But that's where I'd want him to go. Now, if it's a choice then between Arizona Cardinals and Miami Dolphins, I mean, where do you go? I think obviously Mike LaFleur is probably a draw for him because he knows with his brother up in Green Bay how they will be coached. So Mike will know everything about Malik when he gets to Arizona Cardinals. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. as a wide receiver there, Trey McBride. So there's a few players there. They may even draft, Love in the running back in Jeremiah Love in the draft. So Arizona could be a very good team if they get Malik in and if they draft someone like Love for the running game. You could see a really good team coming from there. However, the drawbacks are, you're going to be playing the Rams, San Francisco 49ers, the Raiders. They do not have easy games whatsoever. And that's why you may consider going to Miami, even though I would say the Patriots and the Bills aren't going to be easy games for them. But I think Miami could be competitive or more competitive than Arizona. And obviously, they play the Jets twice a year. So that's 2 wins pretty much for them every year. So I do think the path in Miami is slightly easier. Obviously, new setup, Jeff Hafley. From what everyone says, he's a great coach. He used to be the head coach in, I think, Boston College. So I think he's got head coaching experience already. So obviously, less taxes to pay than in Arizona. So you earn more money there. So for me, those are the 2 options. And I think he ends up with the Arizona Cardinals, personally. Next player, Kyler Murray. Now, where does Kyler Murray go? He's out the door in Arizona. Where does he go? Rumor has it the Vikings are in for him. So I've been intrigued with that one. Apparently, the Vikings are looking at Kyler and Geno Smith. Have they given up on JJ McCarthy? I don't know. Who does know? I do think or do believe that they probably wanted to sit. Kevin O'Connell probably wants to sit for at least another year just to learn from a backup, from a backup perspective behind a veteran quarterback. If I a choice between Geno and Kyler, it's a toss-up, but probably I would lean more towards Kyler, I think. But it's not a slam dunk choice. I think Kyler would be very happy to go up there to Minnesota with the Vikings, with Jefferson there, and I think they've got great O line. I think they got one of the better O lines in the league, so that's where I would want to go if I was Kyler. Now there's talks about the Jets. I mean, this is why I started to mention about Malik going. Malik is never going to the Jets unless they pay him 50 to 60 million a year, and then he may contemplate going to the Jets. Kyler, if he has any common sense, he's not going to the Jets. To be quite honest, if you're any player in this league that's half decent, you're not going to the Jets. Why would you go to the Jets? The Jets are a dumpster fire. So I can see someone like Geno possibly go in there because he might want to prove a point, and the Jets are the underdogs, so maybe that's why he would go there. And they've got some key weapons there. They do have a good running back and a few wide receivers. So it's not as if they've got nothing, but the Jets are the Jets. The organization is a mess, let's be honest. So, and I think Aaron Glenn's a great defensive mind, but I'm not sure about him as a head coach so far anyway. He just got rid of his whole defensive team from last year, and he's basically stripped his offensive staff as well. So I know having Frank Reich there is a good move, I think, for him, but it wouldn't surprise me if Frank Reich becomes interim head coach by the end of the season if they play like they did last year. But yeah, I don't think I would lean towards the Jets, even though Frank Reich is there and he is an exceptional OC, much better than a head coach, I would say. Also, he is good with quarterbacks. So I can see some pull to go there, but ultimately the Jets are still the Jets. So I do think that Kyler would consider and probably maybe look to go to the Vikings. That's where I put it. Then you've got Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is an interesting one. We just spoke about the Vikings, and I think that they might lean towards Kyler Murray. But however, that's with a caveat that Kirk Cousins does not want to go back there. If Kirk is willing to go back there, I think they re-sign him. I don't think Kevin O'Connell wanted to get rid of him last time. However, Kwesi, I think, made the decision to get rid of him, which is not that is quite understandable. as a GM, you don't want, you know, at the end of the day, they wanted JJ to have a run as the starting quarterback. So that's why they got rid of Kirk, and he wanted to be the quarterback. I think if he really wants to go back there, I think he will end up back there. But I just don't know if he wants to go back there. Would you? Maybe. If he does, then forget anybody else. They will re-sign Kirk, in my opinion. But in the proviso that he does not go there, then he's going to be interesting. You know, he's someone that I think the Jets will pay a lot of money for. So I could see him being interested in going to the Jets. Even though it's a dumpster fire, he does bring a bit of command to the room and into the team. So, but they would have to probably pay a lot amount of money to get Kirk. So I think Kirk ends up, surprisingly, maybe possibly with the Jets. Now, all these are caveats because we don't actually know where anybody's going, but it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up with the Jets. However, if the Vikings want him, that's where I think he ends up. Tua. I have zero clue where Tua's going to end up. I literally don't know. I would not be surprised if he ends up somewhere where he's a backup for a year, just reassess and see what's going on. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up actually with someone like the LA Chargers. If they don't re-sign Trey Lance, then look at them just to pick someone like Tua up. Also, the other LA team, LA Rams, possibly as well, could look at Tua just so they can take a look at him and see, you know, is he going to be replaced like Matthew Stafford, for instance? But I really don't know where he's going to end up. I don't see him as a starter in the league in the foreseeable future, but I do see him as a very competent, backup. So watch this space for him, but I do not see him as a starter in the league in the upcoming year. But I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. But I will state that on record. I do not believe that Tua will be a starting quarterback in the 2026 NFL season. So I think he'll go to a team and just learn and just sit for a year. And I think he needs to look at that and pick a head coach and an OC that can help him develop his game. Oh, now I say all that, a lot of it depends on Mike McDaniels, obviously. If Mike McDaniels does not rate him as a QB, then obviously he's not going to Chargers. The reason I say Chargers is a possibility is because of Mike McDaniels. He knows him. He knows his skill set. He probably knows his weaknesses. And going there and being able to sit and work on that could work in his benefit. That's why I thought he might go to the Chargers. But if he does not like Mike McDaniel, or if Mike McDaniel doesn't like him, then obviously he's not going there. But watch this space. I have literally zero idea where he's going to end up. Anthony Richardson, wow. So he's been allowed to go on and look at a trade. So where are you going to go? I mean, I'm going back here to, we'll watch this clip now. Here's a clip with him and Kevin O'Connell.
Appreciate it. Do me a favor, remember something. Okay. You're a bad dude. Yes, sir. And you're going to play a long time in this league. For sure. All right? Go to work every day. Good things will happen for you. I still believe in you. I know these guys too. Shane does too. Yes, sir. This organization loves you. Go to work. Appreciate that. Yes, sir. Yeah, always. Appreciate it.
And that's why he could possibly, and I keep saying everyone's going to the Vikings, but can you imagine if Kevin O'Connell really likes him, would he bring him along? Would he? I still think if Anthony Richardson goes to the Vikings, I still think they sign two quarterbacks. I think that they would sign Anthony Richardson for him to be a third-string quarterback and for him to be behind JJ, basically. And for a year, just say, sit and learn. Just sit, learn, look at the QB room, look at whoever they have in there. Hopefully someone like Kirk Cousins. Look how they do things. And then next year or the year after, let's have a QB competition. JJ McCarthy v. Anthony Richardson. Whoever wins, great, becomes a starting quarterback. Whoever doesn't win, gets released. They could look at that. And even if he doesn't become the starting quarterback with the Vikings, I think, you've got to look at Kevin O'Connell's history with Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins. I I think Daniel Jones, I think you've got to look at that and go, actually, that might be a good spot for me. That might actually be a good spot where we can go and develop no matter what. Same with the Broncos. There's a reason why people want to stay with the Broncos because Sean Payton and the team there, they develop their quarterbacks. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with Mac Jones, which I'll go into in a second. But because with Mac Jones, if he was to leave San Francisco 49ers, then watch this space. Anthony Richardson could end up also with the 49ers. And I know that Sean McVay actually really likes him as well. So he could sit for a year or two behind Matthew Stafford. And if Sean McVay values him and thinks he's better than someone like Ty Simpson or anything like that, then he might give him a shot. Because you've got nothing to lose with signing him up. You got a late round draft pick, basically, you're giving up. And it's probably worth a punt. Mac Jones. Wow. Okay, so Mac Jones, I really don't know. So the San Francisco 49ers have said that they are willing to trade him, but not cheaply. So that's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up. I really don't know where he's going to end up. I suspect he might stay. I think he probably wants to stay for another year. I think he works well with Kyle Shanahan, and having another year behind Brock Purdy, I think would benefit him as well. Just in that room, I think they get on, and I think that would benefit him and San Francisco as well. But there will be teams that want to trade him, and yeah, I can't think of a better spot for him. I don't know where's a better spot for him. I really don't. I think he's in a good spot right now. I don't think the only place he'll be a starter with the Jets, but he does not want to go to the Jets. He'll be a starter with Miami, but does he want to go to Miami? With so much uncertainty in Miami, they need to rebuild. Does he want to go into a rebuild like the Patriots were and get smashed every week? Probably not. The only place, and I keep sending everyone to this place, the only place that he possibly could go to is the Vikings and have JJ McCarthy sit behind it. But at the moment, I have everyone going to the Vikings. So I don't know. We'd have to see with that one. But yeah, I don't see him. Where else is he? What other better opportunity has he got except for staying with the 49ers or going to somewhere like the Vikings?